welcome back to my channel. My name is Joy. My channel, I talk about whatever I want to talk about at the time. My last video was about depression. I strongly believe that I could be considered bipolar, even though I haven't been officially diagnosed yet. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out. I'd love it if you did, so that I didn't have to sit here and pretend like I was like excited and happy and like feeling woohoo, because I don't feel that way at all, and I haven't for a long time. But we're making it okay, you know. We are integrating healthy things into my lifestyle, practicing self-awareness and patience, and so here we are. Okay, so today in this video, I just wanted to take a second and have a conversation about a trend that's very prevalent online, on the internet. Beauty trends that have gotten super popular and have been really normalized without any critical thought, without taking a second to really consider the effects of these trends. I wanted to talk about this topic because I had seen a couple TikToks and a couple tweets that reference cosmetic blackface, and it was intriguing for me. I'd never heard of that term before. But then when I saw this one TikTok that it was an account on Twitter called the Cosmetic Lane, okay? They reposted a TikTok of, there's this white woman, I'm gonna insert it.
I don't care what everyone's saying. Don't get Botox, don't get filler. You look better natural. No, I don't look better like this. I don't. I look better like this.
There's this white woman saying that the reason she gets lip fillers is because she looks better with full lips than she looks with thin ones. And she like mimics herself, like making her lips like really tight and small. And she's like, I don't look as good like this. I look better like this. And then she like pokes her lips out. I was like, what? I don't know. It was just so shocking to see that. I'm 33, so I've been around. I distinctly remember the era where white women were not all concerned about how big their lips were. And in fact, women who were portrayed with big lips and with fake lip fillers on movies and shows were seen as vain, weird, a little bit like a caricature. Like for example, Goldie Hawn on The Ex-Wives Club or something, where she's an actress, she's an aging, washed up actress, and like one of the like distinct markers of her character is she has like these big lips, like she's trying to recapture her youth in like a almost cartoonish way. So that is the way that lip fillers were portrayed for me, like to like my generation as we were growing up. So to see a white woman make a TikTok distinctly like specifically saying I look better with full lips than I do with thin lips was just really, and then everyone just like applauding that, it really took me aback. I was like, wow, we really are in a different time than the one I grew up in. And of course I know that, I've been known that, but like to see it so explicitly, like, you know, stated in that TikTok was just strange to me. It made me think to myself, like, there's something happening here and there isn't enough analysis on this topic. There isn't enough people saying, wait, what are we doing? What are we saying? What's going on when it comes to this trend of white women making themselves look a little less white? We need to talk a little bit more about that and more in depth. And so I was reminded of the tweets that mentioned cosmetic blackface. So I went back to that tweet and I looked at the TikTok that was like linked under the tweet. And I saw like all the comments of white women saying apathetic comments that were like, you know, incredulous, like, oh my goodness, you know, you guys are being ridiculous, you guys are being dramatic. Just really like making it seem as if like Black women bringing this up, the fact that they feel uncomfortable with the way that white people seem to be trying them on for a trend, their response to that was anger, disbelief, annoyance. Essentially, these women were saying Black people do not corner the market on full lips. And this is true. We don't own the concept of full lips, but you guys have to understand that this is the way that we were marketed. This is the way that we have been marketed by white people for centuries. So now when it benefits them, they want to say, you know what? This isn't just for Black people, this is for anyone. But it's really interesting that you guys are trying to rewrite history, because this is exactly the opposite of what white people have said about Black people since forever. A person in blackface, what do you see that stands out the most to you besides the dark skin? Is the lips, lips is something that white people have always specifically tried to attribute. Large, full lips is something that white people have explicitly and intentionally tried to attribute with black people. And they have tried to say that that is a unappealing or unattractive feature of black people. So it's really interesting now that there's a trend to embrace full lips. Now suddenly, oh, this is not something that just belongs to black women. Like, you guys don't own this feature. It's really interesting how there's a distinct movement to kind of backpedal everything that has been going on since forever. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's back up a little bit and look into the history of the way that white people viewed full lips and the way that white people viewed tan skin and curvy bodies. Lip fillers. The first injectable lip fillers were created in the early 19th century and were made of fat. They were not a beauty procedure, but they were meant to reconstruct the lips due to facial deformities caused by tuberculosis. So by the early 1900s, lip injections were being requested for strictly aesthetic reasons. The audience for fillers were very small. In the 90s, however, lip augmentation as we know it today truly began to take shape. Lip augmentation became a household term in 2015 when Kylie finally admitted it was her biggest beauty secret. And in that year, 27,000 Americans opted for lip filler augmentation. Some clinics reported an immediate 70% rise in inquiries for lip filler treatment, and Jenner's lips still remain the subject of discussion even today. Another example of a white woman who has made waves with her lips is that girl named Megan Barton Hansen. She's from Love Island 2018. After people saw her with her lip fillers, some clinics reported a 200% surge in demand for lip fillers. Let's back up a little bit more and talk about the ways in which white women historically have created an image, a specific image of beauty, and how it is very different from the one that they are wearing today. 1865, after slavery has been abolished, now we have all these women who are a part of society. They're free women and they have dark skin. White women are feeling threatened. They know that men find these black women attractive, and they are trying to figure out what is their new role in this new world where everyone's equal, everyone's free, and how are they going to distinguish themselves. White women did not have as much freedom as white men. They weren't inherently as valuable as white men because they could not work. The result of this was them creating a white feminine identity whose value was inherent in her skin tone alone. The whiteness of her skin is what made her beautiful. The whiteness of her skin made her chaste and pure. All the value that the white women placed on their skin became a symbol in itself. So they became symbols for their husbands, and they became symbols for the country as a whole. Also around this time, there were some studies being done to differentiate black people from other races, and specifically from the white race. There were studies being done called race as type. This is when they created these terms called Caucasian. Black people were called Ethiopian. Mongolian is what they called like people who were Asian. Amerindian and American. Those were the 5 categories. And so with these categories specifically, they discussed how big and how small or each category's skull was. So they pushed out this idea that the white person's skull was the biggest because they were the smartest and they were the most developed. They actually drew diagrams and had like images and stuff, and I'll put the images and diagrams up here on the screen. These photos circulated around, and its goal was to show that the skull size of a white person was believed to be 87 cubic inches, and this was the biggest skull out of all the categories, and the smallest was said to be 78 cubic inches, and it was the Ethiopian, which is the black person. Okay, the other races and the other categories fell in between the two. So we have these extremes. We have one extreme being the biggest skull, which is the Caucasian skull, and then on the other extreme was the smallest, which is the Ethiopian skull. So what is the significance and why I'm saying this? I'm saying this because they did these studies to absolve themselves of the guilt related to having slaves. If they can say that, well, these black people are not as smart, they're not as developed, this is why we had to control them, then it made them feel not as guilty as for being slaves. Also, they needed to create this society where there was a hierarchy. Now, how are they going to do that? Well, by saying black people were closer to animals. Okay, so what they did was they connected intelligence and basically humanity with skin tone. Skin tone was not just, oh, your skin is brown. No, your skin is brown, your skin is black, and it means all these other things. And this is why we can treat you the way we're going to treat you. So because of this, whiteness was not just a physical attribute. This is when whiteness became an ideology. It was something that denoted purity, morality. It was something that denoted what it meant to be a true human. Physical appearance, large lips, prominent cheekbones, dark skin were signs of a lack of intelligence. They were negative signs. They were a sign of you are not a true human, essentially. Okay, and this is what white people created. They created this idea. Whiteness was not a physical characteristic, it was an ideology. And so this was true for white women, but it was also true for black women as well. White beauty signified virtue, but black beauty signified sexual desire. Attractive black women were viewed as sirens, essentially. A siren is a dangerous woman who possesses irresistible allure. So when you are lured into her grasp, it's almost like you're lured into a trap. You're a fly and she's a spider. This is the way that black beauty, feminine beauty was understood at this time, and it was something that was created. This is something that was intentionally an idea that was put forth, all in the hopes of placing white women at the top and their features. In my fat phobia video, I mentioned that Sabrina Strings, in her book called Fearing the Black Body, this is what Sabrina Strings says in an interview when she was talking about her book. You know what? When we're in the colonies, we're noticing that Africans are sensuous. They love sex and they love food. And for this reason, they tend to be too fat. Europeans, we have rational self-control. This is what makes us the premier race of the world. So in terms of body size, we should be slender and we should watch what we eat. So this is the beginning of fat phobia. This is the beginning of skinny culture, where white people created this new standard for the way our bodies should look, for the way their bodies should look, in order to distinguish themselves from black people. So why am I saying this? I'm saying this because historically there has been a stigma attached to curviness. There's been a stigma attached to a wide figure, wide hips and breasts. And so this is something that white people created in order to be different, in order to signify that they have control because they are more human. But in recent years, these sentiments have obviously changed. In the last 10 years, there has been a significant change in the way that white women present themselves online. And this is not every single white woman, but this is in the entertainment industry. It's getting to be more and more prevalent across Instagram, across TikTok, social media, even models. Like Kendall Jenner is a model, and yes, she has not gotten any work that makes her look thick, but like she has gotten lip fillers. That is something that, you know, 10, 20 years ago was unheard of. A fashion model would not go and get full lips. That was just something that just wasn't gonna be done. Like, they want you to look like super, like, you know, skinny. They want you to look like just almost like a skeleton in the face. And so for Kendall Jenner to be one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid fashion models, for her to have lip fillers, it just goes to show you, like, we're in a different era where even the models are changing their expectations, their standards of what it is to be beautiful. White women are actively seeking curvier figures, more pronounced lips, and darker skin. White women have decided that these attributes now are signifiers of beauty and that this is acceptable. Andrea Moore wrote this for BuzzFeed. The big bottom obsession has a direct correlation to Kim Kardashian's rise to fame. When Kim first broke into Hollywood in early 2000s, all anyone could talk about was her butt. While Kim has benefited from her iconic figure, black women have long been stigmatized for the same traits. Fascination with her curves serves as a reminder of the exploitation of black women's aesthetics and beauty in popular culture. Why, Andrea? I quite agree with you. Kim Kardashian's rise to fame, and I would say J-Lo as well, and maybe like one other person, maybe like a Salma Hayek or something like that, paved the way for this ideal of like a white woman who has it all. She has the light skin, the straight hair, but she also has the ass, she also has the breasts, and she also has the lips. What it's doing is it's still doing the same thing. It's still othering black women. It's still putting us on the outs. Because yes, black woman, you have the hips and you have the curves, you have the lips, but you don't have the skin, and that isn't something that you can change. This is what people refer to as cosmetic blackface. Blackface is a form of theatrical makeup used to portray a black person in a dehumanizing way. Blackface is a pretty popular term, and most people know what you mean when you say that. Cosmetic blackface, there have been rumbles about this topic for a while, but it's not widespread, and most people don't talk about it because what we're seeing, it's so hard to put a name and put a term to what is going on. Like, because all we're seeing is just, okay, you know, there's nothing wrong with a woman who has more curves. There's nothing wrong with a woman who has a bit of a pouty lip, but it's erasure. It's erasure of black women to an extent, but it's also erasure of our history. It's erasure of this country's history and the way that it has intentionally put a gap between what is considered beautiful and what black women are considered. We're trying to wipe away the ugly history of the way that we have called these same features ugly, and we've looked down on these features when they were on a darker skinned woman. It's like we're trying to pretend that that whole thing didn't happen when it very much did, and it still actually does. White women are shifting the meaning of what it means to be beautiful, like they always do. In some ways, they have shifted the standard closer to what black women have, but like I said before, it's still something that's unattainable for us. It's like we're outside the club and we can't get in. Like what Chris Brown says, a white woman can put on these things in her body and she can take them out again, and she can be just a plain flat butt, flat lip white woman all over again. Black women do not have that luxury to say, okay, today I'm going to have light skin, I'm gonna be a white woman, and then tomorrow when I'm done with that, I'm gonna be a black woman again. We cannot opt in to this definition, this new contemporary definition of what it means to be beautiful. We cannot opt in, and they know that. A white woman can style herself conservatively on Monday and be viewed beautiful by white people, and then she can do a complete 180 and style herself like an urban girl on the next day and be considered beautiful by black people. And it's like she gets to have both feet in both worlds, and black women can barely get one foot in one world. Cosmetic blackface, it's kind of disgusting because it allows non-black women to cherry pick what they view as beautiful today. And I say today because it's all a trend. It is a fad. The concept of what's beautiful changes. Beauty trends, they are just that. They are trends, they're temporary. I think the question is, what is that going to do for black women? How is that going to, in the long run, harm us? What happens to the curvy black woman then? What happens when lip fillers are seen as uncool? What happens to the woman with full lips then? It's just like on the internet when non-black people find slang and they find AAVE and they take it and they love it and they say it, they use it for like a week and they run it into the ground, and then next week, you know, they're saying nobody says that anymore. Why are you guys still saying that? Well, you know what? Black people are still saying it because we've been saying it before you discovered it, and we're still gonna keep saying it after you're over it. You guys did not create this language, we did. You don't get to say when it's over or when it's out, but that's the thing. They kind of do get to say that. Like, are we still saying, ooh, it's the wig for me, sis, it's the da-da-da for me? No, that's the thing. Like, they ran it into the ground and we don't even find it appealing anymore. And that's where I'm concerned about how white women are taking these natural attributes that many black women have, and white women are taking like our style, not just how we physically look, but the way that we present ourselves, the way that we dress. Like, they're taking that and now it's cool, but when it's not cool, how is that going to, where is the backlash? How is that going to impact us negatively? And I feel like there's no way of knowing. We're just gonna have to wait and see, but it's not gonna be good. It's not. I fear that we're gonna go right back to that place that we were post-slavery, where now these traits will be relegated to the ugly pile. White women want to be seen as a complete opposite of what black women are. Isn't that where we're headed? Because guess what? Like, these things, they cycle back around. These trends, Like, this is what's cool right now, but just as quickly it can become uncool tomorrow. Just as quickly. The same way that we had a Kim Kardashian that sashayed in with wide hips and butt implants, and suddenly we all wanted to look like her. Who's to say that we're not gonna have the complete opposite type of woman sashay in again and have that allure, that mystery, and then the trend and the style is gonna change to her? And let's say that she's a size 0, and let's say that she has paper thin lips. Like, where does that leave all the rest of us who can't change this? We can't. Some people can't take their hips out. Some people can't take their butt off. Some people cannot take their lips out. This is what they have. This is what makes cosmetic blackface potentially dangerous, because women are getting this. They're not thinking about what they're doing. They're not thinking about ways in which they are contributing to potentially the harm of a group, of an oppressed people group. Like, they're not thinking about that. They're just thinking about, like that white woman said in the TikTok in the beginning that I referenced, that I look good like this. I don't look good like this. That's all I care about. Am I telling white women to stop getting these procedures? No, and even if I did, you wouldn't stop, because you guys don't care. What I am saying is, be aware of what you're doing. Be aware of how you're contributing to something that can be potentially insidious. Well, that's pretty much all I have for this video, guys. I hope that I shed some insight on this topic. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. Do you feel like white women getting these procedures, lip fillers, tanning, and implants and BBLs, do you feel like these things are cosmetic blackface? Or do you think that it's just them just exploring different ways to look, you know, different ways to present themselves? What do you guys think? Put it in the comments, leave me a like, and if you like my videos, subscribe. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.